everyone, I'm Obscure Girl. I love movies. I love weird movies. I love weird, obscure movies that I feel like not enough people are talking about, if anyone. And I want to have this channel so that I can have people talking about the movies that I feel like need talking about. If for no other reason than I have people to talk to me about them. So, today's movie is definitely one I would put in the obscure category. Um, and this is a movie that means so much to me. I couldn't wait to do a review on this. I might have waited till later, but I actually just rewatched it again the other night with a friend who we refer to as my mini me. And I know the effect this movie had on me, so I knew the effect it would have on her. When I first saw this movie, it was about 2 years after it had come out, and already all of my friends were on me, like, you haven't watched this yet? You haven't watched this yet? To the point where I had a friend who legit flew from Texas with the DVD to come to my house and have a whole bunch of people show up so they could watch me watch this movie for the first time because they all knew exactly the effect this movie was going to have on me. And they were right. This movie is now a part of my genetic coding. Genetic, because it's Repo, the genetic opera. Anyway, also, I feel like I'm not nearly goth enough right now to review this movie. It is a gothic masterpiece. I don't know, maybe at some point I'll throw on the corset and the black lipstick and just have it be like a Anyway, but this movie is very much a niche movie. But when I first saw it, that niche was exactly what I needed to see because it's my niche. It is exactly everything that I love in one movie. It is gothic, it is horror, it is gory, and it's a freaking musical with Sarah Brightman, also known as the girl that Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote Christine from Phantom of the Opera for. You know, just some actress. So this movie is everything. It's wonderful. Not to oversell it or anything, but if you have not seen this movie and if you are of the gothic theater kid persuasion, run. Run. Do not walk to find a copy of this movie, whether it be streaming or otherwise, and please treat yourself because that piece of your soul is missing too and you just don't know it yet. So, without any further ado, we are going into a full spoiler review of this. I personally like spoiler reviews before I watch a movie because I like knowing what I'm going to get into without knowing that, how they pull it off. I know in a spoiler review, they're going to give you a play by play, but they're not going to show you how it gets pulled off. And sometimes they leave, enough stuff out too that it's still different from watching the movie. However, if you're the kind of person who doesn't like spoilers before seeing a movie, please pause this, go see it, and then come back because trust me, you're going to want to talk about it. Trust me. All right, with any further ado, we go into Repo, the genetic opera. So it starts off with this comic book start. Um, the movie was made in 2008, like I said. It takes place in the not too distant future. I believe in a couple posters, it's either 2050 or 2055. And there has been an epidemic of organ failures. Sorry if I switch into this voice. Every time I watch the intro to this movie with the comic book opening, I do a dramatic reading of it every single time. I can't turn it off. That I can maybe not sing along the entire movie, maybe, but dang it, I'm gonna read the comic book inscriptions the whole way, and it's gonna sound dramatic and it's gonna sound extra. And I knocked the camera again because I do that when I'm excited. I'm sorry. So we start out again, comic book opening. There has been an epidemic of organ failures. Millions die. Yes, I'm doing it. You can hear I'm doing it. But out of the tragedy, a savior emerges. Yes, I'm reading line for line. Just go with it. Roddy Largo starts GeneCo, which is an organization that provides new organs to the people that have had defective organs. They're going to die without an operation. And then Roddy starts a program of organ financing. So you can make payment plans on your organs. And for the majority of the world, this man is the savior. He he saved everyone. People who were too poor to afford their organs. He made them affordable. He's like, no, like you need this. I'll take care of you. Then he goes to Congress and has a bill passed that if you miss 3 payments, organ repossessions are legalized. And Roddy will send out the repo men. Or in this one, there's only one repo man. It's just the one guy. Like the whole world is kind of confined to this island pretty much at this point. And you just have the one repo man and then a whole bunch of guards under him, basically. Not that he really needs them. He's definitely a badass. So it starts off the movie then where they're saying, like, oh yeah, like, you got your new organ. Fantastic. You missed your payments. He will come at your weakest hour when no one is around who might rescue you. And it shows this girl who is running away through like back alleys. The entire look of the movie has kind of like this glossy Vaseline on the lens kind of feel to it, but it works. I mean, it might be a little over stylized to some people, but I really like the effect. I think it adds very much to the atmosphere of the film. So super like cyber goth girl is kind of running and ends up just, back alleyway, and all of a sudden throat gets slit and she is very fully being shown having her organs repossessed out of her own body in the middle of this back alleyway. No, people do not survive organ repossessions. That is not something that happens. They will just take it and scan the barcode on your organ because, yes, organs have barcodes in this universe. You can tell the year because it wasn't a QR code. Um, and that's just basically the premise. That is the world building that we live in. The other part of this is that now organ transplants and getting new organs has become a fashion statement because, and I quote, it's what's on the inside that counts. So if you don't have the designer liver or the brand name heart, who even are you, you peasant? Get out of here, you plebeian. So the rich people, just for funsies, are getting all these new transplants. Some people get face transplants. That's actually quite popular, especially among Roddy Largo's kids, which we will get to them in a minute. But it's very much just this insulting premise that these people are having their organs repossessed in back alleyways and just bleeding out in the streets, whereas rich people are having their sixth liver this month, basically, because they had to change them out. So it's very much commenting on classism, obviously. So then I'm going to take the quick opportunity now to throw in there that even though I've been saying musical, this is not a musical. This is an opera, meaning that the entire thing is sung, even the dialogue, even the majority of the dialogue. There might be one or two spoken things, but even a lot of the spoken things are spoken in rhythm. So musicals are when, there's like talking, 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 and then a song. This is all song. This is all singing extravaganza. It's great. But again, for some people, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But in this movie, I have heard from other people where they've said that, they don't like musicals, but they love this movie. So it might be your exception if that is the case for you. Just throwing that out there. Uh, and I want to also throw out there that this movie has two very big themes, I would say. One being the classism one, which again, won't go into. Uh, the other one being the nature versus nurture argument, because there's a lot of comments about how when you're genetically predisposed, that's your destiny. And that is, again, what's on the inside that counts. That's something they really, really harp on is you're only as good as what's on the inside. You're only as good as the genetics that were passed down to you or that you were able to buy. So that is very, very much something that gets harped on in this movie, and has a really cool conclusion I would say they wrap that up really, really well at the end of the movie. But just throwing that out there, that these are two things that are overarchingly in this movie. So the next thing we get to after just that whole general introduction is we get this girl Shiloh, played by Alexa Vega, the big sister from Spy Kids. That's probably where you know her. She is wearing this gas mask and this adorable little goth, like, Wednesday Addams chic kind of dress, and goes to what you immediately realize is her mother's tomb, where she's just having a snack and reading a book, and she sees this really cool glowy bug, and her book is about bugs. So, she goes to try and catch the bug, and then the bug gets outside of the tomb. And she immediately has this hesitation, where it's like, okay, I shouldn't be going out there, but I'll make it quick and I'll run back inside, just kind of justifying because she really wants this bug. She runs out, and the door, of course, closes behind her because the movie has to happen. And you meet the grave robber, which is starring Terrence Sundrick, who is the director creator of this movie. Um, and just like definitely super cute, especially in full makeup. Oh my god! But he's commenting on how the other part of organ transplants and rapid organ transplants is Zydrate, which is the painkiller that gets used a lot of time, especially for more illegal surgeries. But there's an illegal version of it that is extracted from the dead. So grave robbers are drug dealers, basically. They go in with their syringes and then they extract the Zydrate from the dead bodies, and then they give it to the people who are about to get surgery. And it is highly, highly, highly addictive. So Grave Robber starts singing this song about, commenting on social situation and things like that. And they have signs everywhere. Grave robbers will be executed on sight. So it's definitely like a risky endeavor. And now she's out there with him, and there's, sirens going off that they're about to be caught. And so Grave Robber, like, it's like, oh crap, okay, taking this girl with me. And he ends up like taking his body and busting through one of these grave markers in a wall, and you just see this giant sea of bodies, just this mass grave. And grave robber, of course, goes like jackpot, and Shiloh, who clearly is very, very on the sheltered side, is, what is going on, genuinely freaking out, just, I need to go home, I can't be outside, I need to go home. So then uh, the guards, police, whatever, they only capture Shiloh. The grave robber tries to distract all of them so they can go after him, but they have already caught her. And you hear this beeping go off, and it says, medicate immediately, medicate immediately. And she starts blacking out. So clearly she's got something going on. And then you see you see the Repo Man walk up, and he's in control of all the guards. He's like, leave her alone, back off, back off. And he's the last thing she sees as she fades out, and then wakes up in her bedroom in her home, which looks like a hospital bed. Like, she has this gorgeous canopy, but it's plastic all over it, and monitors and medicines and all the stuff all over her room. And you immediately meet Nathan, which is Shiloh's dad. And again, very quickly established that he is sheltering the crap out of her. She is not allowed to go outside. He is immediately gaslighting her, making her think that she never left. And he's like, I'm the doctor and I'm your father. And that's very much hammered in that he is her sole contact in this world. He takes care of her, he shelters her, that's her life. And anything that he doesn't like, he will just gaslight into her new reality. So then Shiloh has this whole song, Infected, where the dad had just talked about how the blood disease that took your mother from us is now in you, and I cannot lose you. Very Munchausen's by proxy a little bit, but also just very controlling. It is very much a controlling device. And uses guilt from, I lost your mother, I can't lose you. And that is the center of her reality, is Dad. I have to be here for dad. Dad takes care of me. I'm here to take care of him. That's it. So she sings the song Infected, where you quickly learn even more what Shiloh's really like on the inside. She's not happy about this life. She starts, cussing in the song and stuff. And it kind of comes out of nowhere, which is cute because she's been wearing these baby doll outfits. But she's like, you know, tell me why my genetics such a bitch? Like, you know, sorry, I won't sing the whole review. Also, no promises. At some point, I'll learn how to do clips. So you find out she is not happy with this. And then we switch over to Dad and get another one of our comic book exposition dumps, where it's Nathan's backstory. And it's 17 years ago, which all the expo dumps from this point on are 17 years ago. Two lovers, Nathan and Marnie, and just basically saying they had the perfect life, but she got sick when she was pregnant, and he thought he found the cure, and she ends up dying, and he's only able to save one of them. So he ends up saving the baby, and Marnie dies. Then we go into this secret place behind their fireplace and find out Dad's the Repo Man. So Dad is the one who goes out and does all of these extractions. He is working for Roddy Largo, and Shiloh has no idea. She just thinks her dad's a doctor with regular patients, not this. And he's already got a guy down in his, torture room, basically, and, waiting for him to do the extraction. So fun times had by all there. I'm also going to throw in there really quick that it almost seems like Nathan has this kind of dual personality. Like he has dad personality and he has Repo Man personality. And his voice even changes a bit when he goes into Repo Man personality. He has this song that is one of the funniest parts of the whole movie called Thankless Job, where he's, singing about how like somebody's got to do it while he's actively, embalming this live awake person. And it gets to the point where like he's singing about it and he's got this dark voice. Also, I should really point out that Dad is Anthony Head. He's Giles from Buffy. So this is kind of one of those moments too where it's like, oh my god, he can sing if you didn't see the Buffy musical episode. Which I didn't. I just have friends that have made me listen to the soundtrack a million times. So you got him going in and he's singing the song in his gravelly voice. And at a certain point, he reaches in to the guy that he just ripped a whole bunch of organs and fat and tissues out of, and he uses them as a puppet to do the rest of the song. And it's so funny. I die laughing every time. Yes, I'm in therapy. It's okay. Hi, Liv. So then we finally get into Roddy and the Largo family. So I'm just going to say it, especially today. I don't know if this is originally what they had in mind, but today, this is a Trump allegory. This is 1,000,000% the Trumps. Because you've got, the dad who's this big businessman, and then he has three kids, two sons and a daughter. The oldest son has severe anger issues. Um, why am I spacing on his name? Luigi. Oh yeah, Luigi. Yeah, sorry. um, massive amounts of anger issues, and then you have his youngest son Pavi, who is just a man ho, very much so, and he's very much into getting face transplants. And then you have Amber Sweet, who is Paris Hilton, and at the time, Paris Hilton was pretty much just playing herself. At least what we thought she was back then. I had to kind of explain to my friend when we were watching this the other night that's like, yeah, now we're like, oh, she was a marketing genius and, we can, gain some respect there. But back then, we just all hated her. Like, we just loved to hate on Paris Hilton. And so this movie was very, very cathartic, especially with what happens to her later on in the movie. So for the time, it was absolutely perfect casting. But all these kids care about is who's going to get the company when dad dies. Now, again, this movie is really good at cramming in a bunch of expo in a short amount of time without making it seem like that's what they're doing. Uh, like, yeah, you've got the comic book stuff, but even without that. So we get into the scene where you have this doctor going into Roddy Largo's office. His kids are all there. You have this other person who gives him this file that shows Luigi killing someone. It shows Amber drugged out in some alleyway somewhere, and Pavi actively stealing someone's face. So he's just looking around. He is disgusted by his kids. He hates his children very much. And they're all just like, "Oh yeah, Daddy, you love us, blah blah blah. Like it's okay. We'll take care of the company for you. It's fine." And Roddy gets this note from a doctor saying that it's terminal and there's nothing they can do. So he is dying. And he even comments a lot on the irony of the guy who saved the world cannot prevent his own extinction because there's nothing that even he can do with all of his money, with all of his connections, with all of his organs. He's still going to die. And so he starts coming up with this plan, and you get his backstory in the comic books that he was Marnie's boyfriend. So Shiloh's mom, Nathan's wife, he was her boyfriend when Nathan came along and stole her away. And he has not forgiven either of them for it. And quickly you see through the backstory that he's also the reason that she died and that Nathan blamed himself. He had someone sneak poison into the medicine he was supposed to give her that killed her. And he doesn't tell anyone. In fact, the entire movie, no one else finds out that he is the reason that Marnie died. They let Nathan think that until he dies. Like, that's it. So that's a really good, fun little twist there once you actually get to it. Um, and then he ends up going to the mom's grave. He sends a message to Shiloh on like this watch communicator thing saying, "Hey, like you don't know me, but your mother once very dear to me. I might have a cure for your blood disease. Can you meet me at your mother's tomb?" And so Roddy and Shiloh end up meeting. He, pulls her into his car and he's like, "You don't know me, but like he's being really creepy, first of all. He's like, "It's nice to see young talent blooming and why do you hide your pretty face?" And is very very much like kind of creeping but like trying to be fatherly but in the creepiest possible way. Now at this point, Roddy is still telling Shiloh like, "I have your cure," and he's dangling this on a hook for her so she'll do whatever he says. So he takes her to this fair and is all like who says the dad needs to know everything, just really just trigger phrases that we worry about and we teach our kids to worry about these days. But takes her to this fair, and this is where we meet Blind Mag, who is the voice of Jinko, played by the one and only Sarah Brightman, bringing her A game with those vocal cords, man. Sarah Brightman, again, being the original Christine from Phantom, who Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote the part of Christine for her. They were together at the time, too, so that helped, but just the voice of an angel. And she was like 50 when she was in this movie, and by God, she'd never been more gorgeous. Just the hair, the makeup, the outfits, and the voice. Absolutely just this dark angel in this sea of just despicable humans. So, not Marnie, sorry. So Shiloh meets Mag, and Mag immediately is like, sees her, and goes straight into Mag's backstory. She was Marnie's best friend. She's Shiloh's godmom. Um, so it starts out that her backstory was when Marnie was dating Roddy, Mag was blind, and Roddy had set up the operation to give Mag new eyes that don't just see, they record and project. So upgraded eyes. So blindness to, data bank, basically. Um, and he had heard her sing, and that's part of why he agreed to do this for her. And it goes into when Marnie dies, Mag realizes that her contract was signed in blood, meaning that Roddy owns her. She has to work for Roddy as long as she wants to keep her eyes. So that's kind of part of what's been setting things in motion because Mag is trying to retire. And she knows what that means. Not a lot of other people know, but she knows what that means. And Amber Sweet, the Paris Hilton character, is all ready to swoop right in and be the new voice of Jean Co. And she's just being awful to Mag. Um, but yeah, and she almost acts like an aunt or a stepmom to Roddy's kids because she seems to be one of the only ones who's able to talk to them with any sense of authority, which I thought was really cool as well. So Shiloh ends up getting just dropped off in some tent at this fair, and once again, the grave robber just shows up at this fair, and you know, Nathan calls Shiloh at one point and goes like, "Oh, where are you?" And there's this funny little exchange where neither one of them wants to tell the other one where they are because he's extracting a body and killing someone, and she's not just outside but in a sea of people with his, he doesn't know that's his enemy, but with his sworn enemy, basically. So Gravedigger comes and he takes her out of there because she's like, I've been out too long. I got to get home. Like, where's my cure? I don't know what's going on. And it's really sweet. Like, I like how much the grave robber, in his own way, kind of protects Shiloh. I already know there's a bunch of fanfic about those two being together. Actually, one of my favorite fanfic comics even has a little couple scenes with those two, which is pretty cool. But regardless, we get to one of the best parts, one of the most popular and famous parts of this movie is they're at the fair, and Amber is supposed to come out and talk about Zydrate because she runs a Zydrate support network. She's a no show. She's out getting Zydrate because she is very, very much an addict. And we get the song Zydrate Anatomy. So if you haven't heard of this movie, or the only thing you've heard is probably a little glass vial, a little glass vial. That comes from this song, where the grave robber is explaining what Zydrate is to Shiloh. She's wondering, is this her cure? But she's, that's not it. And I only found out that through a series of deleted scenes and like deep diving on the internet for this kind of information because she thinks Zydrate is her cure, but it's obviously not. Um, and then Amber comes in, and then they set up this whole exposition in the most stylized way possible where Shiloh finds out the plan for Mag. And that as soon as she's done with her farewell performance, the Repo Man's coming to take those eyes, and she's probably not going to survive it. And this is the first time Shiloh's even hearing that repossessions are dangerous because the Largos have the mass market, the mass media, very much spinning everything in their story in their sector of things. So a decent amount of the public, especially like the well-to-do, don't even realize that this is what's happening, and if they do, they don't care. But this is definitely the first time Shiloh's finding out that repossessions are dangerous and that the Repo Man's actually something to fear. So Grave Robber ends up taking Shiloh back to her house, and not that long after, Mag shows up because she just found out her goddaughter, who she thought was dead this whole time, thought she died with her best friend, has been alive this whole time. And so she goes and she knows she's not long for this world, and she just wants to impart this wisdom on what is left of her best friend. And oh God, I cry every time just talking about it. Um, she goes to Shiloh, and at first she's all like, skeptical, even though she's been idolizing Mag on TV and all this other stuff. But Mag plays her favorite memory of her best friend, which is Shiloh's mom, and saying, chase the morning, yield for nothing. And she's basically like, if I impart nothing else, I wish we could have, been together. I wish I could have been there when you were growing up. I wish I could have been in your life. But now all I can do is give you this advice: chase the morning, yield for nothing. And it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm not getting emotional. And then we actually get a pretty good jump scare because Shiloh knows Mag's in trouble and wants to help her, but is also like, I'm going to get in so much trouble if you're in this house. Pan around the camera, and Nathan is standing right behind Mag. That was like a decent little like, woo, okay. Because we on the outside are the only ones that know all the pieces of the puzzle. Okay, Nathan knows most of it too. And have this little confrontation scene between Mag and Nathan. And she's like, "You told me she died. I promised your late wife I'd be part of her life." And he's just like, "She's really ill. You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here." And even Shiloh's like, "Dad, like, there's a contract. She could get me in trouble. Repossessions are dangerous. Did you know this?" And is trying to save Mag. And he throws her out anyway. And so Shiloh gets really, really ticked. And then her and Nathan have this whole back and forth big blowout fight in her room. And it leads to the song 17, where Shiloh is really showing her dad who she is for the first time. Like, just this rebellious teenager with this awesome outfit. Her stuffed animals are rocking out in the corner, like her whole room transforms for the scene. And Joan Jett is there. No reason other than why isn't Joan Jett in more places? But she's there just playing the guitar, rocking out with Shiloh as just this beacon of like, yes, rebel, be yourself kind of thing. And she doesn't say a single word, but her eyes says all of it. And it's so great. And the song basically ends with Shiloh's just like, "Daddy's girl's a monster," and Nathan smacks the crap out of her. Just, she ends up like spinning out and falling on the floor, that kind of a slap. To which then the stress from that makes her black out. She wakes up again, back in her bed, and once again, Nathan gaslights the crap out of her. Like, she's like, "Dad, why didn't you tell me I had a godmother?" And he's like, "What are you talking about, precious?" So much gaslighting. But this time, Shiloh's finally kind of catching on that Dad is not as honest as she has thought he's been. Hi. Clearly, jumping in a little bit later, had a dinner and Baldur's Gate 3 break. Sorry. Okay, but now Roddy's plan is officially going into effect, right? He is making a move for Shiloh to come join him. He's sending guards after Nathan because Nathan said no to Roddy, taking Mag's eyes. Which, oh, I skipped a part, didn't I? There's a part where Nathan is, in Roddy's office, and Roddy says, "You need to take Mag's eyes," and he's like, "I was Marnie's best friend," and so Roddy, Luigi, and Pavi are basically like mentally torturing Nathan, saying, "Remember what you did to Marnie. Remember who you are," and then after like all this emotional torture, and you think he's going to be like, "Yeah, fine, I'll do it," and he's like, "No, I can't take this job." And so Roddy's like, "He wants out, then I will take him out." So he sends guards after Nathan while sending for Shiloh, saying, "Your cure is ready. I sent a car with a dress that was your mother's, and come find me." So it's the big opera. It's Mag's farewell performance. It's the big, this is the climax. This is what they've been building to. And so Roddy sets a trap for Shiloh to set a trap for the Repo Man and says, "Hey, you saw this guy in the graveyard. He has his sights set on you, and I'm sorry, but he is a rogue agent, and I need you as bait, and I'm sorry I did that to you, but this is how you can really prove that you want your cure." So he's laying the bait thick. And to Shiloh's credit, she actually sets this trap. She puts the dress on a chair, and when Nathan comes in, Shiloh actually takes him out with like a shovel, I think. Which again, good on her for not being the damsel for once. And then finds out Repo Man is her dad, and it's just this whole reckoning of both of like her being in shock, him being in like almost denial. Because at first he's saying like, "Didn't I say that you shouldn't leave? Didn't I say that I protect you?" And she's like, "Didn't you say that you were different? Is this how you protect me?" Now, meanwhile, while all this is going on, and again, this is a very, very big spoiler for the climax of the movie. So from this point on, big, big spoilers. So again, if you wanted to leave and come back, that is totally fine. While the farewell performance is going on, first and foremost, Amber Sweet is opening for Blind Mag. She had just recently had a horrible surgery gone wrong, and then a very quickly botched surgery to patch her up before she'd go on and sing. And she's still fixing, tucking the face into place. And she's so high on Zydrate she can barely tell. And this is the moment that my friend sold this movie to me on, which was, if nothing else, you get to know that Paris Hilton's face falls off. So she's singing on stage for the first time, does a little twirl, and her face goes flying. And it's fantastic. She even picks it up and runs off the stage. Oh, for back then, when we still hated Paris Hilton, that was great. And even today, it's a fun scene. So then Mag goes on for her final performance, and she sings this beautiful, beautiful song, and she's like looking around, just basking in her last performance. She gets on this lift, the risers, whatever, the Peter Pan things, and she's in the air, and she switches from this Latin song, Chromagia, to singing in English, Come Take These Eyes, I Would Rather Be Blind. And with these insanely sharp pointer finger, I forget what they're called, but like almost like a fingerlet, but it's crazy sharp, she gouges out her own eyeballs. And is just like, I'm done. And you see Roddy off stage, cut the rope. She falls to her death on this like spiked pickets like fence thing that's on the stage, very like a spiky gate, and she's completely impaled, and Mag is gone. So go back to Shiloh and Nathan, and they show on the screen that Mag has just been killed, and she goes to her dad, "Is this how you were going to protect me?" And she's like, "You know what? I don't need you anymore. I've replaced you." And goes onto the stage where Roddy and the boys are waiting, and they go in. Nathan follows her. Luigi takes out Nathan from behind the legs so he can't walk or anything, and then everything comes to light. Roddy's like, "So, did you know he killed your mother?" Um, and then the big, big, big twist, which you can kind of guess, but you don't necessarily see coming, is that Nathan has been poisoning Marnie's medicine. The only reason she's sick at all is because he's been poisoning her entire life, so he can keep her close and keep her out of the world. And at that moment, that's when Shiloh starts having one of her fits. She's about to black out, and Roddy's like, "You have to fight through this. You can fight through this." And she does miraculously. Like she passes out, but then she comes to all on her own, no nothing. Her dad is in this like chair, almost like a wheelchair off to the side. And she's just in like this puddle of his blood basically on the stage. And cinematically, it's gorgeous. It's like white skin, black dress, neon red blood. And it is very, very wet. You can see it is just a puddle. Not most realistic, but definitely pretty. And she gets up, and Roddy is like, "All right, here's the deal. You renounce your dad and kill him in front of this entire audience, and I will leave you all of GeneCo." In which Luigi and Bobby then like pipe up and like, "All of it? What? What? And she's like, "Wait, me to kill my own dad? You want me to kill? What's wrong with you?" And she takes the gun and she starts pointing it at Roddy, and is like, "You used my mother's death to use my father. You'd use my father's death to use me too." And this is when Roddy pulls "Well, your father's a killer and you have his genetics. Maybe he passed this to you." And so it's just, again, that whole nature versus nurture. Like, are we born this way? Are we destined by our genetics? Or can we make our own choices? And that is the moment when Shiloh goes, "I don't have to share his choices," which is bingo, the crux of the whole movie right there. And then finally, in like a total fit, Roddy is very close to dying here. He's having coughing fits, coughing up blood. He takes the gun, shoots Nathan himself, and then falls and has like this pretty cool dramatic monologue of just like, "I doubt the world will know how lucky it was to have Roddy Largo," and then just dies right there. Um, and he'd like already shoot his kids away too, and just like, "You disgust me, get away from me." So that was like a nice thing to leave him on. And Shiloh rushes to her dad, and this is the part where there is not a dry eye in the house. If you don't cry during this part, I'm sorry. I don't know what broke you or what maybe didn't break you, depending on how you think about it. But Shiloh and Nathan have this amazing song called "I Didn't Know I Loved You So Much," where they basically hash out everything. She's like, Sometimes I wanted to cry when the people on TV were not quite the way we were, but sometimes I think I just knew, but I didn't know I loved you so much. And yes, I just quoted the whole first line of the song. Whatever. That's how it is. And he's kind of seeing her for the first time and realizing he messed up, but he doesn't regret his time with her. He just regrets some of the decisions he made as a dad, which is, at least finally in the end there was something. Um, and just they have this moment of reconciliation, and it's beautiful. And then Nathan dies in her arms, and she just has this moment of like, "Daddy," and oh my god, the way she says it, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. And then Shiloh has this epic, you know, power ballad, singing that she's free at last. Like, I've hated and loved you, I've hidden behind you, but I finally see that though the imprint is deep in me, it will always be up to me. And again, yes, I'm quoting line for line, but it's important. So the whole nature versus nurture thing, where it's kind of like it's a bit of both. Yes, there's an imprint from our genetics, from who we come from, but we make our own choices. So that was really, really awesome. And um, then they have like this whole epilogue where the gravedigger is doing this cool little epilogue speech. Shiloh obviously doesn't take Jinko, she just bounces. She's like, I'm free of my dad, I'm free of Roddy, I'm free of everything. I'm free of my room, I'm free of my disease. I'm just gonna go. And then in the mid-credit scene, you see that Paris Hilton's character Amber Sweet has taken over Jinko. So they say, it's like a little bit of the saga's done for now. I do not think they're ever going to make a sequel. They made a couple of movies in a similar vein, but using a lot of the same actors, but it was a different movie, The Devil's Carnival and The Devil's Carnival 2. I will absolutely go over both those movies in this channel. I actually saw The Devil's Carnival 2 at the premiere with Terrence Sundrick and a few of the cast members doing a meet and greet, which was one of the best experiences of my entire life. So that's Repo, the genetic opera. They had made Repo Men, the live action, like I think Jude Law's in it movie. That is basically a complete rip off of this one without the music and without the style and without anything good. So I would definitely pick the genetic opera over the action one any day. This movie means so much to me, just if nothing else for the style, let alone the message. Um, and the music is beautiful, and the acting is great, and I it's a part of me now. It's a part of just about everyone I talk to that I've watched this movie with that has seen it. I have a friend who has a signed copy in a glass case in their house. Like that is how much of an effect this movie has on the people that find that audience with it. So that's basically all I have to say about Repo. I would love to hear what you have to say about it if you've seen it. Please let me know what you thought about it. If you haven't seen it and you watch it because of this, please let me know what you think. If it wasn't for you, it wasn't for you. I almost kind of feel a little bit bad because for the people that it is for, it means so much, and it's so nice to just have that. It's a good feeling to find almost belonging in a movie that has connected so many people. So, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, share if that's your thing. I really want to get this channel going just so we can get these conversations going. I've been Obscure Girl, and the rest is confetti.